be educated, but I'm so frustrated. Hello to my loneliness. I guess that ignorance is bliss. Take me back to before the new.
Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the Clinically Average Podcast.
Look at the logo.
I'm Patrick. This is my heterosexual life partner, Wolf.
Hi.
And we're not going to spend too much time here on the intro. If you watched the episode 0, we gave you a little, opening monologue about what we're going to be doing, mission statement, what it is. If you listen to our old podcast, this is not that. If you're a new listener, just
Welcome.
Check it out.
Enjoy the show.
But yeah, if you haven't checked, we do have some other content out there. But this is the first official episode, and we're gonna get right into it.
Just fucking send it.
It is, if you've read the title, the episode here is Alive Time and Dead Time, and I'll open with what that means because you're probably wondering. So, it's an idea, it's a concept in stoic philosophy of basically alive time versus dead time are maybe not what you think they are on initial, hearing it. Wolf gets it confused still.
Consistently gets confused.
Gets confused. I mean, I think it's kind of cheeky in a way, if that's a thing that Greek Stoics did was be cheeky. I don't know. But
I think so.
So the idea is alive time is kind of a living hell. You think alive, you think you're robust, thriving, just getting it in.
Killing it.
Just killing the game. But no, not the case. Dead time is more when you are. Both of these kind of suck. Let's just put it that way. Dead time is technically when you're kind of doing okay, but not as good as you could be doing. It's a period of stagnation. You are complacent, just living your day-to-day life. It is what it is, for better or for worse. But you will get kicked out of that period of time and go into alive time, which is kind of like rock bottom, if that makes sense.
I think this definition is based on that assumption or that situation of I guess it's easier to compare it to and make it sense of you just lost a job, right? You're fired, let go. I think in my case, when I had that one specific job relative to my career, what I went to school for, my position was eliminated from corporate structure.
Yeah.
Whatever the situation might be. So while you're in that state of working at that job, going through the motions, clocking in, clocking out, doing your job, that is your dead time?
Yes.
That's your dead time.
That's your dead time.
Now, whenever something disrupts that routine, whenever you get let go of that job, now that's where I get confused because you're thinking of, oh, you're doing well, you're working on your career, you're doing this thing, and now that gets disrupted, but that shifts you into your alive time.
Why I think they call it that, and this is just kind of purely speculative. All of this is purely speculative. We are clinically average. We are interpreting philosophical ideas from our perspective. This does not make it fact. Do your research, but this is uneducated, educated guesses.
We're doing our best.
On what this means. Trying to find some meaning to this.
The whole idea of this is we're doing our best to educate ourselves and bring that information here.
I think the way I interpret it is when you're going from dead time to alive time, you are almost shedding the dead skin and growing into a new version of yourself. But it's an inherently painful process. Mm-hmm. So you could be in a certain way, maybe financially thriving when you're in dead time.
Sure.
But maybe you are emotionally or spiritually not thriving because you're just kind of stagnating. You're going through the motions. Maybe there's something else you want to be doing with your life. But this is a good setup. It's like status quo.
I think complacency would be a good way to wrap that idea.
Yeah, complacency.
Dead time is complacent. It's cool. It's fine.
Maybe there's other things you want to be doing, but you're this is a good setup. Why rock the boat?
This is great.
You're a little bit, you're 15, 20 pounds too heavy. But the gym can wait. This stuff's more important.
We're okay.
I think of the idea of use the analogy if you're in a a long-term relationship, and maybe things have gotten a little bit stale. Maybe you guys do the same thing every day, and outside of when you get a babysitter once a month to go out and eat, you're kind of just doing the same things every day. You're both getting a little chubby in the middle, but hey, we love each other. We don't need to go to the gym. We're focusing on other things, and you're not prioritizing your growth as an individual. you're just kind of in a situation and you kind of go through the motions. So it's not bad, but
So would it be to say your alive time is that everything's cool?
that's dead time.
That's dead time.
Dead time.
Dead time. So your dead time is everything is cool, complacent, but you're not thriving. Now your alive time is when the boat gets rocked, things get turned upside down.
You get divorced. You get laid off from a high-paying job that you went to school for.
Now we're in our alive time.
You get you get diagnosed with a very terrible illness, or tear your ACL. These things that like will set you back, like financially, spiritually, physically, for I'd say an extended period of time. This is not like I lost my like little easy job and I can get a new one like next week.
Sure.
This is like, oh no, my career
This is a significant change
ended.
in your
My
life.
5-year relationship ended. Those kind of things where it like kicks you out of whatever kind of stupor you were in, whatever kind of complacency you're in, and you feel like shit about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like now you are in a lifetime, which sounds ironic, but it's like, oh, this is like a tragedy. This is a bad thing just happened to you. So why would that be called a lifetime? And what I think that is basically, so spoilers, I'm in a lifetime. I'm ejected from a way of being that I was complacent in, and now I am working on getting to the next stable situation. But when you're in this period of time, you do feel more alive, I think is what it is. When you're complacent and going through the motions, you're kind of brain dead.
So is that where the nomenclature for these come from?
This is, once again, my interpretation.
Okay.
And I think, because I ended the blog, which once again, there's a blog for this. Please check it out, clinicallyaveragepodcast.com. But I end that blog with a quote from Sigmund Freud where he says, "One says, in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful." And that one really hit me because I've been through, all of us, if you're out there, think about these kind of situations in your life and look back to the periods between when you hit rock bottom and when you got to your next state of stability, your next relationship, your next good paying job, your next whatever. I don't know, for me personally, when I look back on those times of struggle, I do kind of look back fondly.
Oh yeah.
Like oh wow, I was grinding, I was hustling, I got through this. And you look back with, wow, because you are proud of yourself. You're proud of the adversity you faced to get to the next level.
Yeah.
And in those moments, not only do you feel more alive, but you feel everything more. Everything just kind of seems heightened in importance. You're like the joy you feel, the joy and laughter of hanging out with friends after a bad breakup feels so much better than when it did when you barely got to see them when you were in the relationship. But also, it's a catch-22. The pain feels way worse too. Mm-hmm. That sense of dread, that when you get hit by a wave of depression, it all hits harder. Everything hits harder. The good, the bad, everything hits harder. So, but that's being alive. You're feeling everything.
It almost feels like it's described as like a manic state. Just everything's heightened.
Speaking as someone who's in an almost 24/7 manic state for the last 4 months, yeah, it does. And it's like, I don't know how long this kind of lifestyle is sustainable. That's why I think it goes through periods.
Right.
You can't stay like this forever. You have to eventually hit a state of equilibrium where it's because each day the pain is less, you get hit with waves, but you eventually either become numb to it in some way, or you've just enveloped yourself in a new routine or a new goal, new habits, and eventually it evens out, or you get a new relationship, you get that new job. Mm-hmm. I think what the tricky part is, and I do address it in the blog, is okay, now knowing what you know, how do you make that next dead time not feel quite so dead? How do you maintain, you can't stay in a manic episode for all eternity.
Sure.
That's a disorder.
that's not great.
That's not healthy in the long term. But it is the fact of not taking things for granted. So if something worked to get you through your lifetime, to get you out of rock bottom, mm-hmm. theoretically you should continue to do those things. So if a big thing for you is to get back on your feet is working out, mm-hmm. or writing or reading, just because you have a new job or a new relationship, these things shouldn't go to the wayside.
Right. So, but there is also a part of where those things become routine. So, okay, you're in your dead time, something gets disrupted, now you're in your alive time. Mm-hmm. So you're making some changes, you're grinding, you're moving forward, you're making adaptations to your life to set up and build towards essentially your next chunk of dead time.
Yes.
Right? So I guess for me, I guess for both of us, recently when we hit this new chunk of alive time, we added in the gym routine, and we've been hitting it pretty hard for the last, what,
About 4 months.
4 months now?
Going on like 4 or so months.
But it is starting but once you get that far into it, now it's starting to feel more maintenance than it is the alive time.
It's not a struggle to do it. It's
Right.
less. It's more you've gained discipline over like motivation.
Yeah, it's automatic. Now, don't get me wrong. I still, every day when I hit the gym, I'm excited to be there. When I get my stretch routine, I'm getting in the headspace. And then when I go over and hit the weights, it's still like every day. Every day when I go in, I'm getting that dopamine hit.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's that I just made that routine enough to where it is just because, we'll be working and we're just like, man, I can't wait to get gym today.
Yeah.
Man, I can't wait to
If
hit
I don't
that.
go, I mean, and like, so I guess we could go back because this was already kind of part of my routine when I had my previous bout with Alive Time. So I guess I could do like try and keep it like no name, stuff like that, but like personal experience. Like, so 2017, I ended I didn't end, but it got ended a long-term relationship, 7-year relationship, all that kind of fun stuff. Very soon after that, lost my job. I am 27 with 2 kids, single dad, and I am living on my parents' futon. That's a big rock bottom wake up call. Like, what the hell am I doing with my life? Where do I even go? There's like and I'm also like 120 pounds overweight. So this is like a very big obstacle. Okay, how do you tackle all of this at once and try and do this in a timely fashion? Like, oh, I need to find a career. I need to find a way to get healthy. I have to still be a functioning parent. I have to be responsible for 2 other human beings. I'm barely functioning as an adult.
It's a difficult situation.
And I'm looking at my parents and I feel like a giant loser. And it's like, these are things, and spoiler, it took about 4 years of steady, slow, mind-numbingly lonely progress to get to where I'm at. Well, yeah, it became discipline after a while. It starts with motivation. We'll get to this
That's another episode.
And then so it's about 4 years of Alive Time to get to a next dead time. And then that dead time just ended about 4 months ago. And now it's like, I don't know. But a lot of the things from that previous Alive Time carried over. They didn't go away. A lot of the things that worked in that 2017 to 2020 block was still applicable, and it's still, so like me lifting and like doing the things that worked, and like it was all still carried over. Now it's just like, but what problems need to be sorted out in this Alive Time? What do I need to work on to get to my next stable situation?
I mean, outside of raising 2 children, I'm in a very similar portion of dead time that I just hit. Left one job that a lifetime. Here we go. You just keep correcting me every time I mix these up.
I'll get you.
So, I hit this new Alive Time
Yes.
where I left one job because I didn't like it, moved to another job that situation didn't work out too well. Now that I'm in this job, as well as back living on Dad's couch, not making as much money as I was, certainly about another 100 pounds overweight after my COVID Alive Time. We'll use that as an example here in a second.
COVID was like a lifetime for all of us.
Yeah. So, no, but I can definitely relate.
Like a cultural Alive Time.
But outside of raising the 2 kids, your 2017 Alive Time is my right now 2020 third quarter, 2023 Alive Time.
Yeah.
I guess for everyone out there on the internet, our listeners at home, a good example that you could ask yourself when we were put into a mandatory quarantine for the spring, summer of 2020, the COVID-19 quarantine. Ask yourself, was that dead or alive time for you?
Yeah.
How did you handle your quarantine?
Not too much change for me, to be honest. Just I couldn't go to the gym, so I had to do home workouts.
Okay.
But because our operations at the restaurant continued after like a month, we had to take a month off.
Okay.
Then things got. My job didn't change. I was still at home with my kids, but I was in the process of getting my own house, getting my own place when that happened, and I had to that went through. So like that plan didn't change. Ended up finding a relationship during COVID that went through. So like I was going through like an alive time in my personal life, but COVID didn't affect me in a dramatic sense the way it did other people. Like I kind of went about my life as usual in a lot of ways, but I understand that a lot of people that's not the case. So it was kind of a cultural alive time. Most people's routines got completely uprooted.
So when their routines got uprooted, we kind of see whenever you talk to somebody about that period in their life and, in modern history, a lot of people, you typically tend to see two paths. One is I was collecting unemployment and I binge watched Tiger King and I gained 30 pounds and I learned how to bake cakes.
Yeah.
And that's why I gained 30 pounds.
Yeah. There's a correlation there.
Yeah. But I guess I would describe it as a lifetime for me because we were shut down to the place I was working. So I had this mandatory quarantine that I went through. I was also fortunate enough to have a certain amount of money saved up to extend that throughout the summer.
Yeah.
So I had a good till November. So March to November, a good 8.5, 9 months. Mm-hmm. Me and my roommate at the time, he also was off of work. We decided to seize the moment, turn this into as much productive a live time as we possibly could. We took our stimulus checks, smashed them together, built a home gym. I think you might have been on not actually because you came over a couple of workouts. But we were able to find, scrounge, and put together an acceptable workout, whole facility in our garage. Mm-hmm. So our entire days consisted of waking up, going downstairs, doing 4-hour workouts, walking back upstairs, getting a shower, and then cooking clean meals and learning new recipes, like protein enhanced recipes, getting outside of chicken and rice, but still having the macronutrients like that, and then playing video games. Mm. So it would have been very, very easy to just sit around, play video games, and make mac and cheese and frozen pizzas. Yeah. But given the opportunity and whatever spark of motivation we had, built a gym, did 4-hour workouts every day, and I ended up losing 100 pounds that I unfortunately
put back. And then you got into a dead time, which was back to work, doing the things, and you lost some of those habits, and you
lost all those habits because the job I got back into was a new job.
It was very stressful, caused you like big life change style.
14-hour days, 7 days a week.
On your ass in an office.
No, this was.
Oh, didn't you go?
No, I went to. I'm not trying to say the word, but I went to a courier service.
Oh yeah, courier. Deliver packages.
Yeah, I put them in a van.
I forgot about that.
I drove around parts of West Virginia and some greater Pittsburgh area.
The wild world of West Virginia.
And then I ran those packages up to people's porches, and I scanned them, and then I took off again.
And then you went to your office job.
Yeah. So kind of transitioned from dead time to dead time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You used the key phrase there that is excellent that I wanted to use for
key phrase unlocked.
To describe dead time, because it is, there's no way to cut it. It's like you're eating a shit sandwich. It's a time where it's like just life hits you and it's kicking you, and you might feel, oh, the world's unfair. Everyone's out to get me. Like, everyone's against me, and then you feel like you are down and out. But you use the phrase "seize the day."
Carpe diem.
Carpe diem. Like that's I think the mentality you have to adopt when you're in that, because it's because man, I'm not here to preach to anybody, man. You are with me almost every day. I have my ups and downs where one day I am distraught and I am manic and I am freaking out about the future. And
hey, earlier this week we both hit a down slump.
Yeah.
And that was not a great day at work.
But I still every day manage to do the things I need to do. I always like to try and be 1% better each day on the things I'm working on, and just keep a mostly positive disposition when it comes to the future. Just focus on what I can control in the moment. But like seize the day. You just like, I'm gonna make the most of this. You almost I use the analogy of get a little bit of Michael Jordan in you, get a little bit of spite in you. Like the world's out to get you. All right, fuck it. That I took that personal. The meme where it's just like, yada, this thing happened, and I took that personal. It's Michael Jordan. It's like you almost have to get a manic level of like your back's against the wall. I'm not going to just sit here and wallow and be sad. I'm going to fight back.
Because when you're in that dead time and things are comfortable and things are complacent,
you don't have any fighter mentality.
Things are okay, and then that gets disrupted. It is so immensely easy to just fall off.
Self-pity and self-loathing and like blame yourself for everything.
Woe is me.
Like I'm not judging that. Like we've all been there, and I still have my days where I tell you where I'm like, just having an off day, feeling sorry for myself, I'm feeling like shit. But then I still go to the gym. I go read. I go do something with friends. I go do something to get myself out of my head, which is important. Lean on your friends. Lean on your hobbies that bring you joy. But it's not going to be easy. You're still going to slip into rumination. I personally am someone who slips into rumination and thinking about the past and like worrying about the future, which is not healthy, and it's not stoic, which is is the stoic philosophy, which stoicism is about focusing on now, the present. Because when you think about the past, you ruminate, you get regrets, you get depressed. You think about the future, you get anxiety. When you think of now, which is why it's a lifetime, because a lot of it, if you are doing it right, you are living in the now. You're with your friends. You're doing the hobbies that are bringing you passion that maybe you couldn't do while you were in dead time. So then you feel more alive.
When that gets disrupted, a lot of people try to kill that time. I grabbed a quote here whenever I was researching up for this. A lot of people get the mentality that this is just a crappy couple of months, a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a couple of minutes, a couple of moments. And I can kill this time, and it'll all be over soon enough. That's a trap.
Yeah, don't kill the time.
No, don't kill the time. Seize that time. Turn that into a productive dead time. A lifetime. Dead a lifetime?
A lifetime. Yeah, I have a whole gang of quotes here that I'll try and cycle through. But one that sticks with me and has some real importance to me. When I got kicked into a lifetime, I have like a little chalkboard I keep in my kitchen that I put inspirational quotes for me on there. You can think that's corny or whatever, but the one I stumbled upon that really kind of got me through like the first month, which was by far the worst. I was down and out. The quote is, "There is a beautiful peace in giving everything you've got, but not succeeding." That was my like permission to myself to, okay, that past endeavor that you put everything into didn't work, but you gave it your all, and you can hang your hat on that. Take that effort that you put into that thing and put it into something else.
Yep.
Put that energy somewhere else that's more productive, that is worth putting that time and energy into. And then it was like, I remember us sitting on the porch talking, like, okay, well, what is that? For the first month, like we would meet up and talk and be like, okay, but what do I want to put that energy into? Like the real answer is yourself.
Yeah.
But in what aspect? It's like identifying
what hobby, what skill set, what...
It's like what skill set, like what personality trait maybe am I lacking in? What do I need to work on going forward? Like what is the game plan? Like almost game plan it, but it's like take that energy of giving your all. Now what do I put it into? And that's what you have to find and identify, I think, to make it a productive, a lifetime. Another quote I think that ties into that hit me. I'm not sure where this one came from, but it applies to this whole kind of message. It says, "How do you know you're doing this sort of period right? Each day you become a better friend to yourself." And that sounds corny as all hell. Don't get me wrong. That sounds like some real PBS stuff, after school special. But it is true, because I guess this varies person to person, but I've wrestled over the years with having a very unhealthy personal like inner monologue, inner voice. You know, if I do something stupid, I kind of like, you know, flog myself, just talk shit on myself, beat myself down. But I would never do that to a friend.
Okay.
That's a sign of like low self-worth. That's a sign of, people pleasing. Like, because like, I'm not mad at me. I'm mad at how I'm like being accepted or like how I'm projecting myself to the world. So I wouldn't do that to my kids or my friends or my family. I wouldn't like beat them down when they're already down.
Right.
But I would do that to myself. I'm
It's
already down and I kick myself.
There's a point of learning to love yourself and being a friend to yourself and understanding that you are going to have bad times and you are going to trip and fall. You are going to stumble. But like you just said, like you see me having a bad day. You're not going to come over and kick me while I'm down. It's, hey, you're having a bad day. Let's go to the gym. Let's hit bench. Let's get over this slump. Do you want to go grab a beer? Do you want to go hang out and you want to play video games? Want to hop on Xbox?
Go to a concert.
Let's go to a concert.
Fucking just go listen to extremely sad music because I'm a sick, twisted person.
It's cathartic.
It's like, hey, you want to listen to the song? And then you proceed to listen to the most soul-crushing, depressing song ever made. That's me. I'm that guy.
You're allowed to cry in a pit.
Oh, I did.
You're allowed to cry in a mosh pit.
I cried at the Bad Omens concert. I'm not going to even deny it. I cried in the car on the way to work today for no reason.
You're allowed to cry.
I'm a sensitive man. Don't let the beard fool you.
Don't apologize for being in touch with your inner self.
Before we move on, another quote that I feel tied to this, which was also ended up on my chalkboard at one point. Treat yourself like someone you are responsible for.
Ooh.
I know it's a hot button issue. That's a Jordan Peterson quote. I know he's a very divisive character, but I always say, regardless of his takes on some outrageous things, and he oversteps his boundary when it comes to male psychology. I think he kind of nails it. There's none. I think he has a really good grasp on it.
He's good at what
You got to
he
separate the
does.
art from the artist in this kind of one of those scenarios. It's like, you can listen to Guns N' Roses and understand that Axl Rose is kind of a piece of shit.
What's the most delicate way we can say this without getting canceled on episode 1?
Yeah, it's like, I get it.
Not
You don't-
supporting the ridiculousness.
But you can still take a good quote from a bad person.
But he
Use it
is
in context.
knowledgeable on some subject matter, very specific subject matter.
And I take that one very personally because, like, as someone, and these are things you learn about yourself in these kind of situations. I think when you're in dead time, you aren't doing a lot of self-reflection. You aren't being as introspective, even if
No.
you're somebody who's, some people are more or less introspective than others. I'm kind of always introspective, but even more so in these periods.
In your lifetime period.
In the alive time, because
your dead time is just, I'm just going to start.
in dead time, I feel like I can have the introspection, but am not capable of actually affecting the change. Whereas in a alive time, I'm still having the introspection, but now I'm able to make the changes, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm just going to analogize it with, that's not a word, probably. But I'm just going to put it with complacency because that's just what it feels like. It's
You push to the side. I use it in the blog where I say, like, there's like an example of like, like I said, you and your wife, like, you're putting on some extra pounds. Whatever. It is what it is. It's like, oh, yeah, the job's good. I didn't really want to start writing that book or start working on this side project, but I'll get to it eventually.
right.
But then when you're alive, it's like, oh shit, I have all this extra free time, and I'm sad. I need to fill that empty time with something.
Is that a key component of your alive time? Now that something's been disrupted, you inherently have more free time. Does that have to be is that a key
I don't
component?
know that it
have
will-
to be a component?
I mean, if you're losing a job that took up a significant amount of your time, if you were ending a relationship that was very, close, like you're living in the same house and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and your lives are intertwined, you're enmeshed, then yeah, I think you're inherently going to have more time to yourself.
I guess it would be specific to your scenario. What disrupted
Yeah.
your dead time into a live time?
So it's like you need to productively make yourself fill any of that free time you have, instead
Right.
of just watching reruns of a sitcom or just playing video games for 4 hours a day. That's not going to get you any kind of enlightenment or move you to the next step in your life. Yeah, I think that was one. Is like treat yourself like you're someone you're responsible for. Like take this time to prioritize you, because if you're in those situations where you're in dead time, oftentimes you are prioritizing things other than yourself. And there's nothing wrong with prioritizing yourself, but you pick and choose in different times of your life what's the priority.
Right.
So if you're married, you're going to prioritize your wife. If you have kids, you're going to prioritize your kids. If you're in a situation where like, oh, I have more time for myself, then you need to make sure you're maximizing your time to be a better version of you for your kids, for your next relationship, for your next career. You need to be the better version. You have to prioritize, and playing video games and watching, like I said, reruns of some sitcom aren't going to get you to that next level. You're just going to stagnate again.
I think something that we've always been referring to in this most recent shift into our, because we both pretty much right about the same time shifted in from dead time into a lifetime.
About 2 weeks apart.
Yeah, about 2 weeks apart. So we've been kind of going through this endeavor together. And the one thing that we keep hyping each other about is level up. Right?
Level up.
So that's, what are you doing today that future you is going to benefit? So I tried to, when I reflect on the day at night, I tried to ask myself, okay, what did I do today? What work, what effort, what task, what thing did I learn? What did I do today that future Wolf is going to benefit from? Mm-hmm. And I try to make that, what do you say, a daily mantra or just a daily reflection? Affirmation. So I just try to be grateful on what I did today that's going to benefit me in the future.
Yeah, because you can lose yourself in, like, once again, that's how you kind of get into the wallowing state where you're thinking about what ifs, regret, all that kind of stuff. It's like, unless you're learning a lesson from it and you're introspecting with intention, that's just picking a scab that's just going to make it worse.
Right.
And you kind of have to, like, okay, I can't change that. I have to think about what I have in this moment now that I'm grateful for and try and expand on that.
I think gratitude is an easy conductor to get to a realization of something that you did that was beneficial. Mm-hmm. Like, when I reflect today, like, we hit the gym today. We hit that flat bench pretty hard.
Yeah, we did.
We started, not trying to puff ourselves up or anything,
puff our
but
chest out.
We're moving some serious weight around.
Busting out of this flannel.
We've officially stepped into serious weight territory.
Well, I made, I guess, 2 ways to branch off this conversation.
Okay.
We should probably touch on, because a big part of the blog and this topic was ego.
The ego.
So
I named my ego.
Before that, though, to make a good point to what you said, like, do something your future self will be proud of in this period. And I made a post on Facebook recently, like, showing, trying to toot my own horn here, but like the before and after picture, like, physical fitness, what it's done for me.
Yeah.
And I showed the picture from 2016 when I was in my alive time, and I was close to 300 pounds. I was just lost, like, emotionally, mentally, physically. I was just not strong in any way. I had zero resilience. I had no fortitude in this way. Like, my values were completely out of whack. And I had a picture of that compared to now, where I'm in the best shape of my life. Mentally I'm, depressed and struggling, but intellectually and, like, resilience-wise, I am as strong as I've ever been in my entire life. And it's like, that started almost 7 years ago, this journey to where I'm at now as a person that I'm proud of. That took 7 years. I had to make a decision 7 years ago that is benefiting me now.
Yeah.
Now, if I had chose to just play video games, which I play video games, I don't mean to dunk on video games too much. I love video games, but, like, not invest 4 hours, 5 hours, or more of my day
Been there.
into it. Like, now it's, at discretion, discretionarily doing these distracting hobbies.
Yeah.
But I always said I couldn't imagine. I'm glad I started then, because I can't imagine wanting to start that now. Because now it's like, oh, now I'm in the best shape of my life and I'm feeling good mentally and strong at 32. But if I waited till now to hit my first rock bottom, I'd be maybe having these results when I'm 38.
Yeah.
And my kids be graduating high school, and, like, I'm like, I'm still a fat loser.
I mean,
with no mental resilience. I have no idea what I'm doing with myself, because I haven't actually actualized any of me. And I'm 38, and that's a fear I had. And it's like, I'm glad I got. That's why you look back nostalgically at the bad things, because you understand that you needed it for character growth.
from the Modern Wisdom podcast, the one we've been listening to lately. Reinvention occurs in the micro actions that you're taking every day. The tiny little actions that probably no one around you notices, building muscle memory around your habits. The tiny little things add up over time and is what produces dramatic change. You make that post on Facebook or whatever the social medias that you put it on, and people be like, wow, Rick did a lot of work. That's great. I'm proud of him. But no one, even if you type it in the description, even if it's on that little template that has little years, like this was me in 2016, this is me in 2023, it's kind of hard for people to grasp the concept that was almost a decade.
Yeah, a better half of a decade
of these
progress.
Tiny micro actions.
Atomic habits, if you would. That's
Yes.
what I'm reading now. I got to get to it, but that's the concept of the atomic habits.
But it's just
1% growth every day, and you're going to have to take into account setbacks. But
Yeah.
if you're averaging 1% better today than you were yesterday, by the end of the year, you're going to have one. If you keep that going for every year, that's like a snowball rolling downhill.
Yeah.
You're going to pick up momentum.
But it's just so hard to grasp that it takes a decade
Well,
or like that amount of
Me,
time to
that
make
picture
this.
of me in 2016, it's like the goal seems so insurmountable. Like the
Yeah.
mountain in front of you just looks like, how the hell do I do this?
Right.
So the idea is you have to chip away at it from the bottom, one little baby step at a time, because people make the mistake of shooting for the stars, and then you just like you don't have you're not seeing the results you want. So it's like you don't see like if your project is that you want to lose 100 pounds, and you go into it thinking after like 3 months, like, oh man, I'm not where I want to be. Well, no, you have to tell yourself, hey, it took me this long to get to where I'm at.
Right.
The idea of me doing it in like 1/8 of the time
It's ridiculous.
is ridiculous.
It's a ridiculous
And what that
standard
comes into
you
is
set for
ego.
yourself.
Ego is the word. Ego is what you have to. We were reading the book "Ego is My Enemy," where they say, "Kill your ego."
Yeah. Excellent book.
Because if your ego is getting in the way, you are going to shoot for instant gratification as opposed to delayed gratification, and that's where everyone gets in trouble. Look at New Year's resolutions. This is from my other blog post, but I think it touches here. And the first few kind of all sync together anyways.
All self-help motivations.
Kind of like the motivational self-help stuff. We're not going to always talk about this. Don't worry, we'll have other stuff to talk about.
Plenty of content coming.
But so I'd always see people like post like their New Year's resolution. Like it's always like the same ones, like, lose weight. I want to work on a project. I'm going to do this. And like no one actually checks up with people unless they're like your close friends.
Yeah.
But like I feel like the amount of people, the percentage of people who actually follow through with those things is very low. And I think a lot of that because your ego gets in the way. So you tell yourself while you're drunk on December 31st,
Yeah.
I'm going to lose 60 pounds this year.
It's happening.
A month in, you've already derailed at something. You've eaten too much, you've done something stupid, and you just derail. You go back into your old habits because you're setting this goal for like if your goal in fitness, I want to have a 6-pack. It's like, that's a cool goal.
Yeah.
But maybe you should just be like, I want to lose 4 pounds this month.
Yeah.
Like set your goals where they are achievable. And then as you achieve the small goals, you pick up momentum and then you carry that momentum. But if you're just like, I want to go from 0 to 100, you're going to burn out.
Yeah.
What that is your ego. And I guess to do this, the definition of ego, because if you read my blogs, I love doing definitions, is an unhealthy belief in our own importance.
Okay.
So if you have an unhealthy or overinflated ego, you would actually think, especially if you have like no prior skill to this, I'm going to get in the gym. I'm going to become a beast in like 6 months. It's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. And like you need to take your ego out when you go into a new hobby or a new habit, new skill. You have to go in with like a student mindset. Like, I don't know shit. I am new at this. I got to figure this out. But if you're going with the idea, I'm going to walk in here and kick ass. It's like, then you're going to derail because you're going to get humbled. And then it's like, when you get humbled, some people either face the adversity, but some people are just like, nah, fuck that. That's too hard.
Yeah.
And now I feel embarrassed and I'm going to go slink off to my comfort zone.
If you're an avid gym goer, January sucks to go to the gym because it's packed.
And I don't mean to get.
waiting
I love
in
seeing
line.
people go and try, and I like to see the ones who do stick through with it. So it's cool. But there's a huge percentage
I would
it's like-
honestly love to see the gym as packed as it is on January. But by the time February rolls around,
yeah, it doesn't take long.
I can get in and get out because there's no one on any machines. There's no one lifting any dumbbells.
Yeah.
It happens. It's just what happens. And like you said about, like, when we were talking about COVID there, it's like, yeah, I lost 100 pounds, but that took a year because, like, COVID
And that's
started
a year in a
more 15, 14 months.
But that was in a period that's like not a simulation of real life.
Yeah,
Where you could do it for 4 hours a day.
that was an extremely advantageous
And you had no other
position.
temptations going on because then you also were living with a drill sergeant type character.
Yeah.
Who kept you in line.
We killed it, though.
And like, so like you like a personal fitness coach living with you.
I love you, buddy. I know he's gonna watch this. We were killing it, dude.
But now, I guess I'm trying to fill his void the best I can as your spiritual and physical Sherpa.
Oh, look at my ego.
I'm trying.
My ego's this big right now.
But then like I want to continue on the ego frame. We're just gonna beat the shit out of ego. Fucking just take it in the back alley. Just fucking
I name my ego Jeff.
kick the shit out of it, like that meme from Office Space where they're beating the shit out of the fax machine, but ego, and we're just giving like scissor kicks.
Name my ego Jeff. Fuck you, Jeff.
But this quote is from "Ego's the Enemy" by Ryan Holiday, and here's how he describes, because Stoics really hate ego even more than I do.
The most.
They want to Julius Caesar them. Just go up and just you just like take 40 knives and just shove it in ego's back.
I like that.
It's gruesome. But his quote on it is like, ego, it's that petulant child inside every person, the one that must get their way, the need to be better than, more than, recognized for, far past any reasonable utility. That's ego. It's the sense of superiority and certainty that exceeds the bounds of confidence and talent. It's when the notion of ourselves and the world grows so inflated that it begins to distort the reality that surrounds us. And I think that pretty much, those are bars.
Bars.
that's like Tupac telling Biggie he fucked his wife. Levels of like bars.
That's why I fucked your bitch, you fat motherfucker.
All right. Pump the brakes. We're trying to be.
Whew. Don't get me hyped up on Tupac here,
But yeah, I like the term there where it's the sense of, it's the bounds of, it exceeds the bounds of confidence and talent. And I use the analogy in my blog where it's the student who knows all the answers but can't show their work. You just got to take their word for it. They know what they're talking about. And that,
the self-proclaimed genius,
like the secret genius that no one, respects, because they're not actually putting themselves out there.
I could be this great, but I can't be bothered to go do it.
The ego is the thing that makes you where you go out and make these proclamations that you want to do something, but then as soon as it gets tough, you just kind of sweep it under the rug, forget you told people you were doing it, and then you just kind of go away and rebrand.
Yeah. Well, there's a few characters that we know that do this thing. They make a long, lengthy post about, I'm doing A, B, and C, and then they get a bunch of likes, and then a few weeks later, that mentality is nowhere to be found.
I'm going to tackle this in next week's episode on that topic because I kind of go in full detail on that concept.
Oh, okay.
So we won't belabor that point, but it ties in. Like I said, the first couple episodes will kind of snake into each other. Similar topics that go. But here we want to focus on the alive time, dead time, and ego specifically. I have like another example. So I guess I don't want to do the whole blog thing because,
Sure.
I want people to actually read it, please. Thank you. I use the analogy, though, of how your ego gets in the way here's an example of your ego getting the better of you. Because what ego does is cloud your judgment. And it looks for confirmation biases to feed your ego, to make you get an inflated sense of self. So I use the example of let's say you've done something objectively wrong.
Okay.
If you have a high ego, you don't like being criticized. That's the first part. But you want to be gassed up by your friends.
Sure.
You want to have comfort. You want to be validated.
Who doesn't?
You have a constant seeking of validation. And everybody does. Everybody has a level of ego. But I think when you are somebody who has your ego in check, the friends I have, I don't have a huge friend group, but the ones I have are the ones who will criticize me, who will not just tell me what I want to hear. That makes me a better person.
Yes.
Looking back on it, there were times we got in fights and arguments where it's like, it gets kind of chippy and heated. But looking back, these people actually cared about me and wanted me to grow as a human being.
It wouldn't have grown to that.
I wouldn't be where
discussion
I'm at if people didn't check my ego.
Yeah.
And you need friends to do that. But the example here is, so I use the example, let's say you're cheating on your spouse. You go to friend number one. They'll gas you up. talk shit on your spouse and validate your infidelity regardless of how justified you actually are. Maybe you did it for terrible reasons. I mean, there's never really a good reason to do it, but better reasons than not. That's neither here nor there.
Sure.
But friend number 2 questions your motives, challenges your values, and criticizes your impulsiveness. Which one are you choosing? And I make the assumption I think most people are going to pick, well, you would pick number 2. I would pick number 2, but because I'd already feel guilty anyways. I would need somebody to almost like kick my ass for me. Like, hey, just fucking make me feel like shit. I already feel like shit. But I think most people pick number 1. You see it all the time. Like, I use social media as an example. You can see people on social media constantly on their worst behavior, and then they have all their friends and their bro hoes and their gal pals come out and just be like, yeah, girl, Queensland, yeah, you got this, king. Like, it's just like they did something objectively terrible. How are you helping this person? It's like the welfare kid person who has like 7 kids. They still have 80 comments say congratulations. It's like, is that worth congratulating at this point?
Okay, but it's
is that not like reckless at this point?
But there's a subconscious level of, because I assume these people, if they're not introspective enough to choose friend number 2, then there's probably a subconscious level of, in the throes of my most worst decision, I need someone to tell me it was okay.
Yeah, I need someone to tell me to validate me so I don't go jump off a bridge. Yeah. But it's like,
can't have everyone tell me this was stupid.
Or do you? Because how else do you grow? Like, the people who I think don't grow, and I'm guilty of this as anyone in my past, of running from my problems, not confronting them, not wanting to hear it. And then that led me down dark roads. It wasn't until I hit rock bottom I could not run away from, I could not, talk my way out of, that I was forced to change.
Yeah.
And I see plenty of people who are in a state of arrested development that are my age, but I feel like no one has caught them and put their back against the wall. I'm like, hey, this is fucked up. You need to make some changes. So they just kind of keep living in that cognitive dissonance, in that fantasy world their ego creates, distorts reality. Where it's like, I'm the center of the universe. I do what I want. It's not like a conscious thought. Unless you're a full-blown narcissist, but like the average person can be swayed by their ego if it is never checked.
If everyone else in my environment around me wasn't incorrect, I wouldn't be in this position.
But if you constantly have people poking holes in your bubble, in your cognitive dissonance bubble, eventually you're gonna think, maybe there's something to this.
Maybe I am the problem. Hi, it's me. I'm the problem.
And sometimes you are the problem.
Or whatever Taylor Swift said.
I've been the problem. You've been the problem.
I know I'm the problem.
Like, this is a hard truth to swallow, but I think it is what you do in a lifetime. If you want to have a successful lifetime, you need to take accountability. Sometimes you take too much accountability. I've done that, where I'm like, I've done all the things wrong. It's like, wait, all right, maybe I'm being a little too hard on myself. Like, you don't want to, because you don't want to be the one, I'm just blaming everybody. I'm blaming the world. I'm blaming this person. I'm blaming my ex-wife. It's just like, but like, take accountability where you can take accountability. Take accountability in places that you can actually affect change, like meaningful change to your character. And like I said, I think until you are hit rock bottom financially, emotionally, like that is when, that's when you make the changes. But if you can't accept the truth of your part you played in landing yourself in a lifetime, which I use the example of, I would wager, if you are somebody who is impulsive and chases instant gratification, that's typically what will land you in a lifetime. And you need to look at your accountability. Like, okay, if you can get therapy, with therapy for rich people. But, try it. It helps if you're not naturally introspective.
Not to discredit this and not to give a pass, but it is a skill set. To have the capability to be that introspective.
Thanks. It's a coping mechanism. I'm an only child.
Thanks, I grew it myself. But it is a skill set. It's something you do have to work on. It's something you do have to practice.
Oh, for sure. There's different personality types, and some are more inclined to
not everyone,
introspective.
Like you said, not everyone's good at it. Maybe you get a little help with it.
That's why I think like therapy works. Like, I'm not here to discount therapy. I think I've never actually been to therapy.
I'd like to.
I talk to people who are involved in some way. They kind of do tell me it might not be that big of a revelation for me because I'm already kind of
doing that work,
interviewing myself pretty much all day. Like I said, I'm somebody who leans towards rumination, and I think about like every decision I make throughout the day. Like when I'm going to bed at night, I'm like replaying the day in my head. I'm like, did I act in a way that I'm proud of? So I can sleep at night. If not, I can't sleep at night. Like if I go home and I feel guilty about shit, or I feel like, oh, I didn't maximize what I did today, I get insomnia. I have trouble sleeping. But if I'm like,
Did I stray away from my core values,
Yes.
my virtues, too far
but
today?
not everybody's doing that because not everybody. We'll probably get on that topic one day, like where we talk about what actually values are. That's a term that gets thrown around. Like, what are your values? What are your core values? And I think if you pulled the average person on the street to say, hey,
Yeah.
list your 5 core values, I don't think most people know what the fuck that means.
I mean, not to inflate my own ego, but I feel like I'm someone who
I'm still figuring out
who,
myself some
yeah,
days.
who tries to question these things, be that level of introspective, surround myself with my friend group who will question me on these things, and I'm still trying to define what are my virtues, what are my core values.
I think we will do a topic on this.
Yeah, I have a general idea, but even at 32, I'm still, well, what are they exactly, and how do I monitor that throughout the day and make sure I'm sticking to those or following that
It is a
course?
skill you learn, but I think you don't. It's the skill is resilience, and that's a virtue is resilience, and that is a skill you learn. Some people have it more naturally than others, but the ironic part of resilience is you don't learn that without failing. So like there's this concept, and this is probably what caused me a lot of grief in my life, where only child, middle class family. Anytime I screwed up, I got bailed out.
Right.
But eventually I got to a point where I couldn't be bailed out. And I had to figure it out later than I would have liked to. But you see these stories of people where you have like the spoiled rich kids, or even like the poor kids, but they have like a family member who like always bails them out, gets them out of their trouble.
Yeah.
It doesn't make them better people.
No.
Those are ones you see down the road who are just like, they just continued to go down that path. And it's less obvious when they're like 20, 22. But when you see like a 40-year-old man living with his parents, it's just like, maybe this is by choice, but like, how do you end up here? Is that your goal?
What decisions, what actions led
It's like
to this outcome?
you didn't fail enough, because then you become risk averse, and you need to not be risk averse. If you want to grow as a person, you have to take risks to fail, to grow resilience, because then you're less afraid to go fail. I'm at a point like I was always scared to fail. I'm at a point now where I have no fear of looking ridiculous or doing a podcast. It's ridiculous. I don't care.
I've hit rock bottom entirely too many times to count.
My insecurity
But I'm
level
still-
is like at 0.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I'm still here. Every time I do hit rock bottom, I bounce back. And
before
it's not on luck. There have been situations where I have support systems around me to help,
I think you need support systems. Like
Sure.
nobody's pulling themselves up by their bootstraps by themselves.
which is a
Not
physical
not to get a little
impossibility.
too romantic here.
Or-
But like, I probably would not be where I'm at right now if I didn't have you riding with me for the last 4 months. You made it significantly easier, anyways.
oh yeah, as you as well for me.
So that made us grow as friends. We were already close for the last 15 years, but like
Best friends.
you need someone. You need some lifeline that you can call on that will understand you and can help you as like a personal therapist, friend. You know, you need somebody. Don't do it alone if you don't have to. Reach out.
Yeah.
Find somebody that can help you through these tough
Shit.
times.
I should have wrote this down. There's a campaign on MTV. It's called Ask.
Oh, really? Why are you
Yeah.
watching MTV?
It's just on. It's commercials whenever I turn South Park on at night. Oh my God, what is it? Ask, support, acknowledge.
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's gonna bother
I
me.
have
Here,
no clue.
fill some time while I Google this. We got about 7 minutes left,
I
by
have
the way.
a quote to go with the whole ego thing and how people kind of get delusional and like live in their own bubble and maybe, you know, have an inflated sense of who they are. And the quote is, where's that? Oh, the first principle is that you must not fool yourself, and you coincidentally are the easiest person to fool. So you can get in your own ego can trick you into believing you are better at something than you actually are, or, you know, have a heightened sense of superiority, more so than you deserve, more credit than you actually deserve. And yeah, that is, I'm trying to see if I have any other good quotes to springboard off of here. Did you find that yet there, bud?
No. Getting close though, I can feel it.
Oh my God. I can't imagine. Like, it better
It's
be-
good.
it
It's
better be
good
worth
information.
it.
It's a cool acronym. I guess it's not cool enough that I remembered it off a commercial.
Uh-huh.
Oh my. I love remembering things I didn't prepare for a podcast that we're supposed to prepare for, and now I'm just rambling on and try to kill time while I'm scrolling on my phone looking for this acronym that is very helpful. And you know what? When I find it, I'll edit it into the video because I can't find it. I'll bring it up on another episode, a mental health episode.
Okay. Well, then since
It
we're
bothers me.
in that point, I guess we can start wrapping up on this topic. I think we've sufficiently hit a lot of the points.
Yeah, the timer on the episode timer is looking pretty close. Here, I can fill some time. Talking about whenever we were mentioning, like, looking at the past, looking at the future. Ryan Holiday says, people are busy thinking about the future that they miss opportunities right in front of them. Or so many people are upset about what has happened in the past that they ignore the present that has been given to them. We think that the future is something that happens rather than something we make.
Yes, I remember that quote. That's that matter of living in the present. And I've seen this in my life. I used to keep a quote on my infamous chalkboard that said, too much of the past makes you depressed. Too much of the future leaves you anxious. The secret is living in the now. It's easier said than done. But I saw the effects of what being obsessed with the future does to people. And I can say for me, I've almost been the opposite. I've kind of lived stoic virtue throughout my life by accident because I've never been someone who's obsessed with the future. I've always just been like, I'm going to try and do the best I can during the day. And it's conveniently worked out for me a lot in my life where I'm like, oh, I'm doing the right thing each day by my virtues. And hey, these things are kind of, it's opening doors for me because I'm kind of sticking to this, being consistent. I remember this quote off the top of my head. It's like, it is better to be consistently good than to be occasionally great.
Okay.
You're going to make more progress if you are just consistent rather than being exceptional sometimes. And that is and I use another analogy where it's like, people want, you see an obstacle in front of you, you want to just drill through it to get to because the finish line's right there. It's on the other side of this big boulder.
Just hammer down.
So I'm just going to drill through it.
Sprint.
Because you think, right there it is, it's done. I'm going to get it. But really, you're going to tire yourself out. You're going to wear yourself out. And you're going to take longer than if you just maybe go take the scenic route around and get to it. But people are like, but because they are so laser myopically focused on that goal, they miss opportunities. They miss what is right in front of them. And I've seen this, and I've seen what it does to people and the negative effects it can have. And it is very important that you are living in the moment as much as you can.
Situational awareness.
Yeah.
Because the answer could be right in front of you if you're too...
But if you are thinking about the past, ruminating, or you're thinking about the future, possible what ifs, you could miss the thing you want that would be the ticket to that place anyways.
Yeah.
Because you're obsessed with it. Like, oh, I gotta get this job, look at me this, I gotta do this, and then I'll get this. It's all this like fantasizing. And then, like years go by and you've made zero progress towards that fantasy because you're looking for a quick fix. You're looking for a reset button, like instant gratification. It is this, we are in a culture of instant gratification, like Facebook, like social media and all this stuff has like brought that onto people. We're like, I want the thing, but I don't want to work for it because, and like I said, next week we'll actually dive into this deeper, but just like as a tease for it, like you want that now because you think when you see somebody post something, you don't see what's going on behind the scenes. So when you see some gym thirst trap on Instagram and they're jacked and ripped, it's like, man, I want that. I want to start. But it's like, you don't understand how long that took.
You don't see the literal decade of going to the gym every day. You don't see the skipping desserts. You don't see the
physical fitness.
Sticking to a diet. You don't see the effort put in the gym. You don't see the hours.
Because you can't post that. It's not.
It's not sexy.
Writing a book. It's not sexy is the word. Like writing a book, starting a business, doing these things that like will take, or saving money for a trip you want to take next year. So you got a budget this year. It's like, well, you got to delay the joy. You got to delay your gratification for 2023 if you want to make that Disney trip in the summer of 2024. So it's like, hey, no trips this year. We're not doing anything fun this year. but that'll be super fun. Then it'll feel better. The delayed gratification, the thing is like that going through the obstacle is like burning through that with a sheer will is like, that might feel good. But like the delayed gratification, when you actually get there and do it the right way, which there will be habits that come along with it and discipline that comes along with it that you can use for other things, it will feel that much more satisfying because now there's time investment also.
Yeah. And like you just don't see, like you said about those gym pictures, like one versus now. And then I have a similar one, I'm sure that I've showed you. It was like 2015, 16, me at the Pirates game.
Yeah.
Just the worst. Just being the worst person. And then my post-COVID, when I was in shape, post-COVID, looked like an entirely different person. That is also, what, a six-year difference?
Yeah.
I don't know when that Pirates game picture was taken, but it was about 5 or 6 years of going to the gym, falling off the wagon, getting on a diet, screwing it up, then being consistent for about 14 months and achieving
But
that
then the
goal.
pain of that failure propels you to do it right the next time.
Yeah. But
If
it's
you never try and learn, so like if you've never done physical fitness and you wait till you're 32 to try it,
yeah.
it's trial and error. It's going to take even longer because
I've
you
learned-
have to fail your diet multiple times, fail your routine, and then like, oh man, and it's like, are you going to have the fortitude to like the resilience to come back at it? It's like instant gratification. The idea like, what's better, going to McDonald's and grabbing a Big Mac? Do you feel satisfied? Usually, no.
No.
You make a good home cooked meal. It takes more time and more effort, but I mean, I'm speaking for myself. But I feel much better about that afterwards. Like I use the example in the blog, like writing a book. Like I can tell somebody, hey, I'm writing a book. And that sounds cool. I can post about that. But I don't get to post when I go write for 3 hours, crumple all the paper up and throw it in the fucking garbage because like that's shit.
That's the thing.
That's not sexy.
I post the fruits of my labors for the COVID year when I lost 100 pounds. But I don't post the 4 hours sweating in the garage.
Yeah.
It's not sexy. It's not what the people want to see. It's not what they want to hear. It's not what people want to do. And that is the level of commitment you have to have day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year to build yourself into that situation.
Exactly. And this is coming from two clinically average guys who are just failing our ways through life.
Oh, shit. Did you just use the title of the podcast to wrap it up?
I just did.
You're so awesome. You're cool and awesome.
I haven't missed a step.
Man, did you get a little taller? You're looking good, man.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's just the new flannel.
You want to wrap this up before we screw it up?
You want to wrap this up before we start kissing?
Join us back for episode 2 whenever we release it.
A week from today, most likely. I think we're going to do a weekly schedule.
Hopefully. It's to be
A
determined,
week
but I
from
think
whenever
that's...
you hear this one.
Yes?
Yeah, maybe. Well, to be determined.
And while you're waiting on episode 2 to come out,
Read my blog.
read the blog. See the TikTok, see the YouTube, see the Facebook, see the Spotify, see the other thing, and all the other things that are linked over that way.
Also, I would like to have some interaction. This isn't just for me to go on a shoebox and yell at you guys. Write some examples if you have of a live time versus dead time. Times you hit rock bottom. It can be anonymous if you want to email. You can find our email on the website, or chime in on any of the social medias or personal messages, whatever. I'd like to have some interaction.
I would love to hear some COVID stories.
COVID stories.
Did you-
personal anecdotes of times where you hit rock bottom and had to claw your way back up?
Did you seize the day? Did you take advantage?
Tell us your Rocky Balboa story.
Oh, man. we
Your
forgot
rags
that
the
analogy.
riches story.
Your rags the riches story. Man,
Well, that's kind of what it is. Like Balboa, he's down and out, and he
Adrian.
he has his training montage, but really training montages take like 3 years. They do it in like 2 minutes.
He's in there beating his meat and lifting logs.
All right.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just wrap it up.
Anything else? Read the blog. Send us some stuff.
Comment down below, like, subscribe, whatever the YouTubers say to get engagement on their social media. I don't know.
All that cool stuff.
We're here to educate, not to like, share, subscribe, whatever.
But we're really educating ourselves.
All right. I
We'll
mean,
see you
yeah,
next
I'm
week.
learning.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
but I'm so frustrated. Hello to my loneliness. I guess that ignorance is bliss. Take me back to before I knew. Rewind, take it out of cue. Innocence can be a young man's game. Signed up for the hall of shame. I wish I knew how much I miss not knowing that we're all screwed when we play our roles and ignore the problems. I like to be away in my patience. Stay up, I feel so outdated. How can we look the other way? Sun is out, but the sky is gray. What would happen if I took a chance? It's always hard at first glance. I don't wanna, but I know I gotta do it. The truth is hard to swallow, I think I'll chew it. I wish I knew how much I miss not knowing that we're all screwed when we play our roles and ignore the problems. I wish I knew how much I miss not knowing that we're all screwed when we play our roles and ignore the problems. I wish I knew